Group Chief Economist of the African Export-Import Bank, Dr. Yemi Kale, has emphasized that many of the country's current challenges stem from flawed policies rather than unforeseen external shocks. Dr. Kale, who made the call while delivering a keynote address at the 2025 Vanguard Economic Discourse, themed Nigeria's Economic Outlook 2025, Hardship and Pathways to Sustainable Recovery, stressed that the country must shift from reactive crisis management to anticipatory governance to cushion Nigerians from economic shocks. The former Statistician-General of the Federation explained that most of Nigeria's economic hardship was not caused by unforeseen event but by policies introduced without adequate safeguards. Dr. Kale said public trust is built not just by making policies but by implementing them with foresight, fairness, and firmness. On his part, President of the Nigerian Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, Delioye advocated the need for Nigeria to seek economic sovereignty and adopt a viable and affordable homegrown democracy as a way of escaping the fallout of global trade challenges spiked by the Trump-driven tariff war. Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, Dr. Tayo Aduloju, called for deeper engagement between the private sector and government to drive economic transformation in Nigeria. Aduloju pointed out that current method of engagement often failed to create tangible change and called for a more collaborative approach to economic development. Dr. Aduloju, who made the call while speaking as a panelist, highlighted the need for the private sector to be offered the right incentives and conditions for investing in critical infrastructure such as port, railroads, and energy. Another economist who doubled as the Chief Executive Officer, Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, Dr. Muda Youssef, noted that the country could not afford to leave the economy purely to market principles, as he said there is need for an ideological consensus in the economic management process.
Nigeria has the raw ingredients for greatness. The potential is well recognized. Our large and youthful population, our abundant natural resources, and a geostrategic position at the crossroads of Africa and global trade. But let us be clear, potential is not a strategy. Execution is. The path of economic resilience, inclusive prosperity, and reducing economic hardship is neither quick nor easy, but it is clear. We know what needs to be done. In fact, doing this presentation was very easy because everything I've said today, we have heard it many, many times before. All I had to do was go and copy and paste many of the other presentations that other people have said many, many times in the past. And that's what we keep doing. We keep saying the same things over and over again. We keep doing this, but we don't do what we're meant to do. And we keep having this conversation, but those responsible for taking the decision often do not take those decisions. And we keep repeating the same thing.
The president has a duty to right the wrong. You don't right only one side. Go to the genesis. If you go to Benue, you go to a Plateau State, you cannot imagine what these things have caused for Nigeria. So, in their both situations, we also encourage and appeal to our local communities to avoid self-help and violence in their dealings with these emerging hunters. Because I think this hunting is a very profitable. So the above example highlights the complexities and the challenges extremist ideologies, bias in private and public decision making, and the impact on individual and society. They also underscore the importance of education. Because, especially in the north, if we don't educate them, Nigeria are going nowhere. Because one person can control the whole community there. So until we educate them, for the day of election, they will just line up. One person say, I go and vote for that man. That's all. So you must find a way to be inclusive, listen more to people who are less than us, and try and work with them. So this also underscores the power of education, critical thinking, nuanced understanding in leadership of a society to prevent acts of violence and poor economic decisions like the USA is currently experiencing.
You must deliver leaders that can run institutions. Institutions execute policy. In fact, if you hand an agenda to an institution that has no capacity, nothing will happen. Institutions execute
to market principles. If you continue to follow that path too heavily, we will continue to create more hardship for the people. It is important to recognize what we call market failures in economics. And that way, we create a much better environment for businesses and for the citizens. We need very strong government intervention, for instance, in the energy space.
Writing white papers is for us to be on the factory floor, training our young people to basically work in factories and to produce items that people set out for our country. And we need the support in all the areas that are helping and are not helping us to achieve that goal. We need to look very honestly at those things and figure it out. Now, again, because I've been looking at these solutions for a long time, one of the things I decided to do was start a training academy. And Kule was contributing quite effectively to some of our trainings. And we've seen that these things in action are actually helping. They're actually changing in little tiny drops. And we need to escalate those activities and do more, amplify